I just brought these in, some of these drawings. I may add to it, but what has been occurring with me is that I've been starting to have experiences of what some people might term past life experiences. And so I have had experiences that go back, it seems, hundreds of thousands of years, where I'll be going through this experience and it feels a little bit like a daydream, except that it's sort of out of the blue, and it's like, where does this come from? And it becomes very experiential. And what I found out is I was having this experience, and then I would have to, I'd run into a stalemate, like this occurred, this person died, or this person had this complication. And then I would come out of it and say, wow, that didn't go very well. And then I'd go back into it maybe a day later, and I would sort of work the stages of the problem out a little bit further. And then a few days, so I was going through this process where I was almost reordering a lifetime and working out the problems that lifetime had, which the way the vibrational information comes forward, it's those issues are coming through your current life to be resolved. And so a lot of the complications that we have, we didn't generate in this lifetime. It's something that came through us so that we would have the opportunity to resolve it for that prior or future experience. And so one of the things that's been happening as I've been having these experiences is that I begin to really have, I would say real conversations, real expanded conversations with those experiences, with those lives, and as well as with sort of the parent soul, I would call it, instead of an oversoul, maybe the parent soul that generated your life. And so there's this counseling experience that usually goes on, and it happens to every one of us, but it happens in dream space, dream time. So if you're someone who doesn't really remember your dreams, or you might have some dreams that you vaguely remember at the tail end of when you're just waking up, but you don't remember most of your dreams. So that means that, generally speaking, you're in another experience. You're in another space. You're either astral traveling, which is kind of local, or you might be in connection with your parent soul and being tutored on how you can approach being in the world and how you can transform and heal your body and do things to help you in the world. And so we are these beings that have these allies that are not visible to us, but that we hear through inspiration, that we hear through coincidences, and our lives are in many ways ordered by this expanded part of ourselves. And one of the things that I just feel, what I'm discovering is that it isn't really past lives. It's not really spirit guides. It's really just facets of your own self and playing all of these roles. Because sometimes when they say that when you have a dream, that no matter what the dream says, you're really every person in your dream working something out. And so, and that's sort of a reflection of how reality really functions. And reality really functions in such a way that we are so deeply connected to the creative force. And that one of the reasons that, the spiritual teachings will tell you, well, we're all one, it's hard to conceive of what that means. But it's a little bit like the Russian nested dolls. And so, at the most expansive space, there is the creative force. And then it breaks down into the next level of creation. And each one level, the being that's birthed is made out of the substance of the parent. So one of the ways that we can think of ourselves as being in divine order is that the very substance of our bodies, the very substance of our consciousness, is a derivative of the first consciousness of Source. So that's why it's really important for us to begin to accept, acknowledge, and embody that truth. And that's how we begin to live our lives, manifest what we want or need to, and can heal our bodies. Because it's in recognition that you're the prime creator in an experience, in a process. And so one of the things that I have been doing lately, I was just showing one of my helpers, is that I've been having channeled visions, and so I've made some drawings of what really is happening in the creation. Now, they're a little bit small for me to show you, but I will just the same. So this is a really basic drawing, and I'll actually pass them around as long as you pass them back. But because I'm working on it. So in this particular drawing, it represents who you are. And so a lot of this energy is coming through the heart, but this figure in the center represents your parent soul, your oversoul. And this experience that's coming, this infinite experience that's coming out of here, and this would be your life experience. So your oversoul is communicating with you through your heart and sort of moving your body, communicating with you, expressing through you. And so this oversoul, oversoul, or parent, the parent soul. It's like the parent soul. So every being in creation is created out of the essence of another being. So everything is created out of the essence of another being. So we're physical beings, we're born out of our parents, right? But at the spiritual level, our soul is also born out of a parent soul. So your body is born out of your parent's body, your physical parents. Your soul is born out of your parent soul. So there's two lineages that are happening at the same time. And so your parent soul is expressing through you, okay? And so what this represents here is you're seeing this infinity, but it's really, you have to think of this as not just being two flows. So each one of these circles represents a potential life coming from this oversoul. So this oversoul could be having your life experience and, many more life experiences at the same time. And so we begin to think of these experiences as our past lives. But it's all coming from the perspective of your parent soul. It's all happening at the same time. And so that's what what is referred to as sort of the illusion of time. And if you ask yourself, well, okay, what is time? Time is just basically a structure that keeps all of this from mushing together. So what happens when you have an experience, when you have your parent soul expressing through your life and also expressing through these other lives, what happens when they run into each other? What would happen? What would that look like?
We could have a child prodigy.
You could have a child prodigy, but a lot of times what it looks like is schizophrenia.
It's like what?
Schizophrenia. What it could look like. And so what happens is that, a lot of times you'll see people walking and they're having conversations and they are very adamant that this experience is going on. It's very likely that it is. It's just that there's a thinning of the veil between the two worlds. And so that's how the person, I'm not saying that happens all the time, but that's what it starts to look like. And so that's just really important. So I have a second drawing. If you look in this drawing, I'll pass it around, you'll notice that the parent soul is sort of weaving through the heart and sort of moving the person around and trying to get them into an evolved state. And this is another stage of the same process. And what you're going to see is the parent soul and you, the child soul, being equal. And so that's where we are now. We're at the stage where we and the parent soul are unifying back into a full consciousness. Okay, and so you'll notice that you and the parent soul are the same size, and you're beginning to merge. And the significance of that is what's happening right now with what's being called ascension, or what's being called the shift of the ages, the end of the Mayan calendars, and all of what this means is that we are being moved out of this state of separation into a state of unification. And so that is a sense of what it looks like. And so this drawing is a little bit about the life stream. Essentially, you're looking at here as, so here is a quantum embodiment. So this is, you might be starting out, and then you'll move into a state where you'll have an existence that is very short. You might have an existence where you actually had an ascended life experience. You might have an existence that was very dark, very negative, where you were a murderer or a warrior. And so you have all of these experiences, and what happens is that what we're being called to do is to collapse all this into one expression. And that's really what ascension is. That's what it's all about. It's about collapsing all of these life streams into one expression. So, all right, so I have another bit of information, a couple of these channel drawings. And so they're a little bit complicated, maybe, but this is basically a map of the self. It's a map of the inner being, the outer being. And so in the outer, I'm going to pass it around. In the outer boundaries represents the energy of your oversoul. And then this connects into the energy that represents your higher self. And then this flows down into an energy where there's this force that some people call the guardian angels. And then it flows down into your expression. And the expression is mind, body, heart, all the things that we know about. The mind, the body, the heart. And, well, this might be a little bit of an even better one. So we have the middle soul, the mind, the imagination, higher awareness, the heart, the inner soul. And so what this particular drawing is showing that the command center is actually the heart space. And on the mind represents 1/4 of who you are. The mind is 1/4. The imagination is the balance to the mind. And the body is here and feelings here. So the body and the feelings are a balance to each other. And so this actually represents the field of our being. So the vibrational field is magnetism and gravity. That's what it is, magnetism and gravity. And we have feelings on a positive sense, give us perception. Feelings in a negative sense take us into the ego. I'm not sure if these drawings are such that they translate for you, so I'll give a chance for you to ask some questions as we go through it.